Hey YouTubers, I wanted to do a little video on the LS ignition coils, specifically the differences between the square coils and the round coils. I've gotten a little bit of interesting information both through internet, I don't want to call them chat rooms, but different threads on different forums, talking to some of the parts professionals and some of the racers. I'm going to move from the under engine shot into where my round coils are set up on my workbench. That way I can do two things: change scenes and get out of the stupid wind. Successfully moved inside. As we've transitioned from a partly cloudy, perfectly sunny day, the rain is moving in, which is what's killing the idea of going to US 36 to test the big block G-body wagon. But instead we're going to make a video about these LS coils. So when we first started messing with these LS engines, we had read online from several forums that the coils you want to get are the old round body heatsink coils, because they have a hotter spark. They have a higher voltage output than the square body coils. And that held true for a really long time until we started seeing some people posting about these, I'm going to call them Sasquatch coils, because somebody kept saying, well, the hottest coils we've found are the square body heatsink coils. Well, I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm just saying that none of us have been able to find them. So if anybody knows where you find these mythical square body heatsink coils, please comment in the comments down below, because I'd like to grab a set at the U-Pull-It or whatever and try them on my Blazer or whatever. For some reason, GM started out with these, what we're going to refer to as the round heatsink coils, and at some point they switched over to the square body coils. Alright, so if, and we're going to say if, because I don't know for sure yet, I'm just going by internet banter, engines, aka Barry Cook out of Clarksville, Tennessee. Look up his car on the internet. Sink coils on his over 1100 rear wheel horsepower turbo Blazer, which kind of gives credibility that these coils must put out a decent amount of spark. If they are hotter than the square, here's one possible explanation. Okay, the original LS engines that GM produced all called for spark plug gaps of 60 thousandths. So the theory is they had a hotter ignition coil on all the engines that required or came factory with a 60 thousandth spark plug gap. They had the hotter coil to arc that gap and, meet their requirements. Well, at some point GM switched from a 60 thousandths gap to a 40 thousandths gap spark plug. So all the engines that GM was producing from the factory switched to a tighter 40 thousandths plug gap. So the theory goes, right about the same time they changed that gap on the plugs is when they went to the square body coils. Now, whether this is 100% factual, I don't know. Does it kind of make sense? Yeah, in a way. Because if you've got a tighter gap, you don't need near as much power to throw a spark across that gap. So I wanted to share that little piece of information because it did sound logical. Let's call it plausible, that could be a correlation to why GM saved a few pennies, went to the non-heat sink square body coils, and that's how we ended up in that boat. So basically, after seeing Barry Cook's current engine build on Facebook, I realized he's still running those dang round body heat sink coils. Well, I happen to have a set off of I think they came off of a 2002 4.8 engine I had, which is actually the foundation of the 5.3 I'm building now. I thought, well, I'll just clean all the gunk and dirt and grease and grime off these round body coils and install them on my Blazer and just see if there's any noticeable difference in how well it drives. Is it seems smoother, whatever. So I was in the middle of cleaning up these coils, and I thought, this would make a pretty decent video. I will grab my stupid camera and try to throw together some kind of information to share with everybody of what I found concerning the better performance coils that GM sent out of the factory. So basically the plan is to clean these up. If I can find a way, I haven't researched it yet, but I'd really like to find a way to I guess ohm check or resistance check these ignition coils before going through all the trouble of swapping them out, even though that's only like 8 to 10 bolts and 2 plug-ins. Changing the coils is absolutely not going to be a big deal, but I'd like to verify that all these coils are within spec as in terms of resistance, so that I can have an expectation of proper performance. Worst case scenario, if I need a coil or two, I can go through the process to go search those out and have a full set of 8 coils that actually produce good sparks. So another piece of information that's worth noting: round body coils and square body coils use different length plug wires. Okay, you heard that right. I'm absolutely telling everyone now, if you try to change your coils, make sure you have the plug wires that will work with those coils. I don't know for sure if it's a difference in the actual physical coil design, or if it's how they bolt onto the brackets. I haven't had a chance to compare the brackets from the round coils to the brackets from the square coils, but I do know when you go to the parts store, the round coil plug wires are shorter than the square body ones. But if you happen to have the square body coils with the longer plug wires, you can switch right over to the round coils and they'll plug right in. You don't have to buy new wires. So keep that in mind if you're interested in trying this upgrade on your performance build or whatever your intentions are. So anyway, appreciate you guys watching these videos. Hopefully you guys can share these with your other car enthusiast friends. Get them to come and join the page or the YouTube extravaganza at Headflow Inc. Thanks again.